There's no denying the impact that Five Nights at Freddy's has had on the internet and the world as a whole. Ever since its release on August 8, 2014, over a decade from the time this video comes out, the series has been continually expanding, changing, and befuddling its fanbase with each new release. From the lore to the ever-changing gameplay, the series always had something new to offer from game to game. To celebrate 10 years of Five Nights at Freddy's, how about we do a review of FNAF 6 and see if it still holds up in 2024. This video is a bit different from what I normally do, but as a shameless Gen Zer, I can't just not talk about FNAF. This game was my childhood, dude. I admittedly haven't been incredibly caught up in recent years. The most recent game I got was Security Breach, and I haven't been able to finish it because of life and stuff. But from FNAF 1 to Ultimate Custom Night, I've become quite familiar with the series. In fact, it was the release of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, better known as FNAF 6, that piqued my interest in the franchise once more. It dropped on December 4th, 2017, but I would pick FNAF back up as a fixation around summer of the following year. Since before making this review, it'd been minutes since I last played, I commit that. However, it was a memorable experience. The jump scares may be a little especially when compared to some of the other games in the series, but something about The Office, especially when going for things like the liability run, just felt so on edge, menacing, and intimidating in and of itself. That's probably hilarious to hear because when you first open up the game, it's definitely not what you expect it to turn into, what it does later down the line. It takes the Pizzeria Simulator theme very literally, and you start up with this adorable little minigame where you can design a pizza and then throw them into the faces of these very happy children. And a shadowy version of Freddy starts blocking the pizza, but it's alright, you can spam him if you outsmart him, and oh god, what's happening now? Then right after that, you find yourself in this dark-ass room with that just chilling across from you. There's a piece of paper if you swipe your mouse down, as well as a tape recorder where we meet a very important character to this game, and the lore as a whole, Henry. I like Henry. He's interesting. I don't like this thing. This thing scares me. A lot of things in this game scare me. You listen to him list out various audio prompts taken straight out of my nightmares and see if the animatronic across from you responds. Things seem to be going smoothly until...
Begin audio prompt in 3,
2, 1.
Well, lovely. Now we're met with this really cool retro-style announcement thing that introduces you to the actual gameplay, or at least one half of it. Seeing this cutscene for the first time cracked me up. I love the sketchy wording, just how shamelessly sketchy Fazbear Entertainment is in general. You just know they get more lawsuits than they can count on their fingers, assuming none of them have been removed by any mob bosses, or animatronics, or animatronic mob bosses. The style reminds me quite a bit of Fallout, which is another game franchise that I'm really fond of. After the cutscene ends, you come up with a brief two-step tutorial of the build buy part of the gameplay, catalog mode and blueprint mode. If you're playing the game normally, Funny Narrator Guy will give you 100 monitors and take you to catalog mode while explaining how it works and what it does while this adorable little guy dances in the corner. So for now, we're gonna get the paper pals for $5, this little duck pond, some cups and plates, and this balloon barrel. This will unlock you a new catalog, but for now, let's go ahead and place down the swag we have just acquired. So this is about what you're working with when you start. In the bottom right is a button to upgrade to a larger floor plan, but we don't exactly have the funds for that right now. We can acquire that by accepting the sponsorship offer, however, but if you're playing the game for yourself, it is free after all, then I would heavily advise against sponsorships because they will unapologetically bite you in the ass later. Unless you're really struggling, I personally wouldn't recommend it. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna say yes though, hashtag YOLO swag. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the catalog and show what else you can get, like this foil party set, or the stage, and of course, the best animatronic of all time, #1 crate. So when you buy the games, like this balloon barrel, it gives you the option to playtest it. Each item has a different minigame, some being similar, but they offer a wide range of stuff. Personally, this is my favorite part of the game, and a large reason why I want to come back to play it. Some of them are a little too easy though, like this balloon barrel or this duck pond for instance. However, Fruity Maze is one that's hiding something I'm sure most FNAF fans are aware of. It's a Pac-Man style of game where you run around and get fruit as this little girl before the time in the left-hand corner runs out. When you get a combo of fruit, you get a time extended buff and this girl will flash on the screen, looking pretty similar to the protagonist of the game. There are these various power-ups that you can pick up, like this lightning bolt for speed, or this magnet to do the magnetizing thing, and also these weird lean slugs that get you to walk through walls. I sort of royally cooked myself this time around, but we'll try it again later and you'll see just what happens when you win this game. The other arcade cabinet with a story to tell is Midnight Motorist, which I'll go ahead and place right here. It seems like your standard old school racing game. Don't mind me, I totally know how to drive. I'm totally not driving on the wrong side on purpose or anything. Okay, but after the 4th lap, there is actually a secret road you can access from being on this side of the road as opposed to being on the top one. Once you do, this banger music starts playing and you have to navigate down some curvy stretches of road. Don't mind me, I totally know how to drive. After various twists and turns, you can either turn and go to Juniors, or JRs, or however it is, some sort of place with a green guy standing outside, or you can keep going straight and turn and end up at a house. If you walk in, there's someone at a TV who tells you to leave them alone. The text boxes in this are a little too easy to skip in my opinion, but I'm also an Undertale enthusiast, so that may just be that part of me talking and pressing enter too early. But anyway, you pound on a door a few times and then have to go back outside, whereupon you find that he has escaped and ran off to that place again and will be sorry when he gets back. Yikes. Let's pick some ducks to get our mind off of that. Playtesting also earns you money sometimes, which is pretty neat and fun. I'm gonna go ahead and use that moolah to upgrade the floor plan. Now when you're done, you hit ready, and this is when the FNAF part of the gameplay begins. This is also the part that both intimidates me and bores me. Now, I'll be honest, I have not been the biggest FNAF gamer in recent years, so if you see any skill issues here, then that's why. This is so claustrophobic though because you're sat in front of a computer and have 2 massive vents on either side of you. Keep this in mind for another part of the gameplay that'll come after this. Outside of potential jump scares and jump scare. Okay, anyway, outside of potential jump scares and the horrors of capitalism, you have to do a bunch of ordering, printing, and repairing, which, I won't lie, is pretty boring. At least they kept the functionality of booping the snoot with this little health bead on top of the monitor. Once you're done with all that technical stuff, is when the real edge to the game comes in. You're sat in a similar situation to the one you saw earlier with Scrap Baby, except the gameplay is quite different this time around. Henry begins telling you that your job comes with the obligation to salvage animatronics found in the alley behind the pizzeria whose origins are unknown. In this case, it's Molten Freddy. In case you couldn't tell, this game puts me on edge. You have the choice of throwing it back outside or taking it in for salvage. If you go for the latter, then you have a maintenance checklist where you play the audio prompts and see how it responds. If the animatronic tries to jump at you or acts up, you can tase it up to 3 times before you permafry it. I don't like this, so for now I'm gonna say no. When you do, the narrator tells you,
"Don't forget Saturday. You want them all to be in one place."
Now, I want you to meet someone who's played FNAF 6, so they should know the gameplay. Gamer Lou, you can take the stage.
Hi.
So, how is the gameplay? The mic is all yours.
Thank you. Now there's 3 different gameplay mechanics. First is Tycoon. I'm not talking about the Robot Tycoon you see on Roblox. The Tycoon I'm talking about is the FNAF Tycoon where you have to buy Lefty, the Puppet, or pretty much anyone. Now Tycoon goes second hand with the second gameplay mechanic, which is the Office. Oh, I said second like way too many times. But the Office is pretty much the other gameplay mechanic that I absolutely hate. Simply enough, I believe they don't explain it well, but I will give it props to being creative. Because unlike the other FNAF games, you're on your own time. It's up to you to complete the task, and you have to quickly, so it can take hours or even 5 minutes depending on you. However, most of the time, I feel like the other stuff, like the audio lure feature for FNAF 3, is totally useless here. And I don't recommend you doing it, and I truly hate it. And when you get the true ending, it's a total pain in the butt, and I highly not recommend doing it. Now let's go to the last one, my favorite, Salvage. This one is completely optional, and you don't need to do it for one. You actually need to do it one time if you were to get like really any other ending so you get a certificate. But for like the first time, and you don't want to get the bad ending, you don't do any of them. And you get the bad ending, which isn't even canon. For actually none of them except like the true ending canon anyways. But for this one, like what makes the gameplay mechanic unique is that they do audio prompts. It scares me to this day. You have to pay attention to them. If they move slightly, shock them. And you get money from this. This would go back to the Tycoon. However, if you shock them too many times, you lose money. And once you lose money, then it will be worthless. It also helps with the true ending because you have to get all of them. So those are really the gameplay mechanics. I really hate the Office segment. I do believe that they can definitely work on it better. Nothing scary about the Office for one. Also, the Tycoon is hilarious because you were to accept a sponsorship like most regular YouTuber nowadays. Guess what happens? While you're in the Office segment, the same sponsorship or the same ad will play. The irony is hilarious. Maybe users should learn less about using sponsorship in their videos, because then they're going to be getting mad when they get the same ad that they decide to approve on their YouTube channel. Just kidding, sponsorships are okay. I support YouTubers who are doing that. But you see my point though. Now, after all of that, from what we learned, is FNAF still relevant to this day? The answer is yes or no, depending on it. But I'll give you the reason why I believe it's still relevant. Even though the ending isn't as heartfelt anymore, mainly due to the fact that FNAF security kind of ruined everything with the blob and bird trap, showing is that the stolen ain't even free, so you're required over nothing. You can now Henry never got to see his daughter, he did all that for nothing, really kind of depressing. In a way, if FNAF, it kind of interesting. I mean, I kind of always wonder what if the plan didn't work, and that's exactly what happened with security breach. And of course, it's so relevant due to the fact that in the bird trap ending isn't even canon, sadly. You find bird trap under FNAF 6 Pizza Perk. And even in Hell 1 and 2, that's the main area you're praying in the FNAF 6 Pizzeria, which I really do like. So I do believe FNAF 6 is still relevant. However, the ending isn't really relevant anymore, but the whole entire game is still very important for the lore when it comes to security breach and Hell 1 and 2. So the answer is FNAF 6 is still relevant. And that's all. I'm going to be giving it all to the rest of this YouTuber. That's it for me. I'm drawing my hats off. Anyway, that's all I have to say for the FNAF 6 review.
Well, thank you, GamerLou. That was very insightful. Go check out homie's channel right here. He's the one who wanted to do the collab with me in the first place, so you should give his content a watch. Anyway, so as promised, I was going to show you what happens when you win Fruity Maze. And to all the FNAF lore heads out there, yes, I know, there's a lot of lore that I'm not talking about. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not saying. I hear you, I get it, I was obsessed with the lore too. This video is for goofy purposes. If I wanted to delve into the lore, let me know and I might do that. But for now, we're just kind of looking at surface level stuff. Enjoy the horrors of Fruity Maze. Alright, so as you know from what you saw before, just the same typical stuff. You're going through the titular maze and you're getting the titular fruit and, you know, but pay attention to the girl that her reflection flashes on the screen. Like I said, I know I'm not talking about lore right now, but just like pay attention to it. I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the part where I actually won it, and we're gonna reboot the game again. Oh yeah, that's not fruit. Something's definitely wrong this time, and she is not happy, at least not as happy as she was before. Yeah, something is very wrong. So then when you go ahead and win that one, when you hit the final stage, that's when it really hits. This is not even the game anymore. This is not fruit. It's a maze. There's no fruit. There's just some fucked up stuff going on. And if you look at the reflection, you'll see that the girl is no longer alone. And if you're familiar with FNAF, you absolutely recognize that face behind her when you finish it this time. You get a special little, I want to say cutscene, but not necessarily. It's just a couple text boxes, but it tells you a lot from those text boxes. Yeah. This game and Midnight Motorist are the main way that you get the Lore Keeper ending, or at least two of the main ways that you start out getting the Lore Keeper ending. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of patience. Anyway, yeah, so GamerLou covered pretty much everything. I do think that FNAF 6 still holds up pretty well. It does have some replay value with the different certificates you can get, which I really like. You can't really say that for a lot of FNAF games. Like, if you play FNAF 1 and 2, you've kind of done it all. Unless, like, you know, you've gotten all the plushies without doing C++. I see you motherfuckers, I do the same thing. But when you actually play the games and you play them through, there's not really that much you can go back to. But I think since FNAF 3 and onwards, it started becoming more of a thing to like throw in little mini games and like spice up the lore a bit. And regardless of what purpose that stuff's there, it's still really fun to play and it adds a lot of value to the game. And remember, this game's free. Like, this is a lot of mileage for a free-to-play game. So, generally, yeah. I think FNAF 6 still holds up. I didn't cover a lot of the bases on why FNAF 6 still holds up, and GamerLou summed up some stuff with the lore, things that even I didn't know about yet. So yeah, if you're a fan of Roblox and FNAF and stuff, you can go ahead and check out his channel. I appreciate that he wanted to collab with me. I don't really get to collab with fans that often, so thank you, bro. I hope you get more subs. Anyway, yeah, thank you for watching and listening to me ramble. If you made it past this point, then good job. Not a lot of people do that. So I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day, and let me know what you want if you want me to cover the lore later. Have a great day, everyone.